fell. Britain snatched Nile. France took the West. Germany grabbed land like it passed a test. No language in common, just rule and divide. Fed us their flags, made us swallow our pride. They taught us to hate what we saw in the mirror. Now we pray to their gods just to feel clearer. Say body, who let them rewrite? Not our bodies cold. Who drew the line? Through our souls. Colonial goals. What they stole, we'll reclaim whole. We are the story they try to control. But memory's a drum and truth don't sleep. Our roots run deep where their cuts ran. Now we rise with fire in our name, burning their maps, reclaiming our flame. Burning their maps, reclaiming our flame. You carved us up. We rise again. One Africa. Yeah.
Okay, greetings, everybody. Welcome to another Kevlan Awakening series in collaboration with my sister, as always, Unduku from Kombukani. My name is Oladile Dosumu. I'm the founder of the Emerging Kevlan. And for those who are familiar with what we do, we are here to decolonize our minds and awaken our consciousness and to say to ourselves, enough of the Muzungu Oyinbo solutions. We Africans are more than capable of doing for ourselves without looking to the Muzungu, who have perpetually done everything to keep us down. So it's down for Afrocentrism solution for Africans. Welcome, everybody. Unduku.
Habari gani, karibuni, asanteni kwa kuwa nasi. So what's the news? How are you? Essentially, welcome and thank you for being with us. The name is Nduku. I'm the host on Kumbukeni, and we are a media platform. Make no mistake, we're not just what do we call them again now? YouTube influencers? No. We are a media platform. We bring you information. We bring you news. We bring you knowledge. So we are a media platform that is grounded in our Afrocentric, in Afrocentrism, which means we center Africa, we center Africans, and we look at the world from an African perspective. To say no to the practice that we have known for more than 300 years, where the white man was telling the world about us, while we kept quiet as if we were children, right? That paternalistic practice where Africans, we stayed behind and the white man told everything about us, even if they didn't know us. No, now we are saying, no, this is not right. And we are telling the story ourselves. So I'm looking forward
Absolutely. To Thank you very much. Okay, if you see, we got two guests today, so I'll let the data economist Babajide Ojejimi. He's been on before. Babajide, if you want to introduce yourself, and then Monica Brown will introduce herself as well. So Babajide, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Babajide Ojejimi, the data economist, solutions architect, business intelligence consultant. I love working with macroeconomic data in particular. I like to focus on Africa, healthcare. The background is quite vast across solution architecture and, data. Yeah, I'm glad to be on the program today.
Thank you very much. Okay, and then our sister Monica, what happened to you? Okay.
Hi, I'm Monica
Okay.
Brown. I'm just.
Oh, hello.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, we can't see Monica. We can't
Yeah,
see
can you
you.
hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you. We lost you for a second. We lost your
Can you hear
pictures.
me?
We can hear you, but we cannot see you. Have you got load shedding in South Africa? Hello? Okay. Hi, Monica. Okay, while we're trying to sort Monica out, we're just going to go to the topic and then Monica will come and introduce herself.
Quickly, Monica, try getting out and coming back in.
Yeah. Okay, today's topic, as I've put on the screen there, is unpacking the World Economic Forum Davos gathering. What does this mean for Africa? They've gone to Davos I think, is it still ongoing? Are they finished it, Bajide?
It's finished.
It was done.
It's finished, okay.
Finished.
Yeah, okay. Okay, it's finished on Friday, and obviously we saw a lot of Africans going there to participate. And the question for me is, what are they participating? What are they participating for? What isn't it? Wasn't it for them? Are they just there to window dress, or are they there to get results, or what are they there? Because as we know, with all these kind of gatherings, Africans go. They just go for the sake of going. They have no policies, nothing to offer Africa. When they come back to be dictated to, in terms of how the rest of the world wants Africa to function. So that's why we're just kind of breaking it down today. So the topic is unpacking the WEF Davos gathering. What does it mean for Africa? But Bajide, before you go,
Yes.
Monica, are you back? Okay, well, Monica's sorting herself out.
Yes.
Before you go, I'm going to talk about what is the World Economic Forum, just to put it in perspective. The World Economic Forum is an independent, international, non-governmental organization and a think tank. So it's basically a non-governmental organization and a think tank headquarters in Switzerland. And it's focused on fostering public-private, listen to that, public-private cooperation to address global challenges. Obviously, it convenes leaders from government, business, civil society, and other sectors through events like its annual meeting in Davos, which just happened, to discuss issues such as economic growth, inequality, technology, and sustainability. It was founded in 1971 as the European Management Forum. It rebranded itself in 1987 to reflect its expanding scope and now positions itself as a platform for improving the state of the world by enabling dialogue and initiatives across the borders. That's what it says it does. So putting that into perspective, then you can actually see the person that funded this organization is called Klaus Schwab. It was a German-born engineer, economist who remains its executive till today. Obviously, he established it initially to introduce American management practices to Europe, which doesn't make no sense, but that's what it says. And then, but it evolved to become a broader network influenced by his vision. That's one man's vision of stakeholder capitalism, where businesses. Okay, give me a second. Monica's calling me actually. Where businesses serve not just shareholders but society at large. So the organization is funded primarily through membership fees from over 1,000 partner companies, mostly large multinationals with revenues exceeding 5 billion. You know, that's basically just to put it in perspective. So that's a background of what the WEF is about. So these are the kind of people who have got themselves together now to influence world policies. And the key word there is private partnership. So funded by one person's vision.
Yes.
So if you think about that and how they formulated that, so what does Africa or the world got to do with this? Okay, Babajide, I'm going to take myself off the screen to deal with Monica. I'll let you go.
Okay, so I think Oladele has given us a very good introduction there. The overview is quite apt. Klaus Schwab.
Babajide, we can't hear you.
The only founder. Can you hear me now?
Right, we hear you now. Right. Oladele, I'm about to take you off for a minute. Yeah.
Yes. So he's been the one founder since tell me 1 second. Yeah, he's been the one founder since 1971, and he's been the driving force behind that organization since 1971. Now, the question that I, as an African, would probably ask is, and I think in the sort of promo that I sent out, I asked the question. I mean, are African countries going there, just like Turkey's voting for Christmas? Yeah, because if you look at the agenda since 1971, and that 1971 founding was triggered by the dollar becoming the currency of choice when the gold standard was removed. Okay, so it now became a situation where the rest of the world was thinking, okay, how do we drive this economy forward with this new standard? That was one of the drivers. Now, if you look at the makeup of the forum, right? Let's even look at the makeup as of 2025. Let's not go back to 1971. As of 2026, as we speak, I just did a brief overview of the organizations, that attended the event. Over 97%. I mean, I'm just trying, because I had to do a very quick, brief, investigation on the actual event. Yeah, I don't want to be too specific, but I'd say over 97% of the companies that attended that forum were from the global north. 97%. So what does that mean? That means Africa does not have any representation as far as I'm concerned. Whether Owando was there from Nigeria, or Dangote was there from Nigeria, or what's his name? This wealthy guy from Tanzania, the founder of Econet. I've forgotten his name. His name is
Mo Ibrahim.
No, not Mo Ibrahim. The Zimbabwean guy.
Oh yeah, I can't remember his name. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. So whether those guys attend or not, the forum is not designed in Africa's favor, and the proof in the pudding was Mark Carney's speech, because Mark Carney's speech is what broke Davos this year. It created a lot of chaos in Davos this year, because there's something I always say that Africans tend not to understand, which is finance is war. If you don't understand that, then you haven't started. Finance is war. And Mark Carney, with that speech, just laid the cards on the table. Okay? Donald Trump has gone off on a particular trajectory. The world is not having it. Mark Carney understands the game. He's the former Bank of England governor. He knows what's coming. And he decides, you know what, I'm going to make this speech whether they like it or not. And that was the speech that everybody else now had to focus on till the end of the forum. And it showed Africa up, because Africa has no say whatsoever. No say. I watched the African Forum interview where we had, who did we have there? We had Rachel Glenister, Professor Raj Kumar, Wamkele Kabetse Mene, the Secretary General of AFTA, Johan Drew Strydrom, CEO of Old Mutual in South Africa, and the President of Sierra Leone. I listened to that. And in the end, there was one reporter and another gentleman that asked the question of, where is Africa's place in all this? Right? The gentleman, the one thing that he touched upon was the colonial mindset. I mean, I was quite surprised that he brought that up. We need to change the mindset, because the African mindset, if I take it back to some of my investigations of Africa since 1946, we were set up to be primary producing countries. Do you know what that is? We just produce for the colonial masters. That's what we
I
were
think you can use another word. We can use another word. It's called the extractive economy.
I'm deliberately using these terms so that people can go back and look at it, because that's what the IMF and the World Bank primarily used in their documentation. Primary producing countries. So we produce the goods, send it out to our colonizers, and they then sell it off, get the returns, put it in the Reserve Bank, Bank of England back in the days, or whether it's France or wherever. That's how we were set up. But guess what? The surprising thing is, in 2026, our economists, our leaders, so African economists, African leaders, are still parroting the same agenda for their own country. So they keep on talking about foreign direct investment. They keep on talking about foreign exchange. They keep on talking. Nobody is thinking about, okay, Nigeria has 234 million citizens, right? If you divide, so I did a quick analysis, a few weeks ago. Nigeria has 6 geopolitical zones, right? If you divide that 234 million citizens by those 6 geopolitical zones, we have 6 United Kingdoms. 6 United Kingdoms. So what are you going out there to look for an exchange for when you haven't dealt with your own local economies? So where we need to start from, rather than going off to Davos on a party that is not going to favor you, is to look inwards and say, okay, how do we create assets across these 6 geopolitical regions? When we look at Nigeria, or when we look at Africa at large, we say, okay, across all these 54 countries, how do we create value across, and I'm talking internally now, not externally. Internally, because at the end of the day, if you go out to the World Bank or to the US or to private investors and say, oh, we want to raise $200 million or $300 million, you're still killing your economy, because your exchange rate is bad. By the time that money comes into the economy, you'll be indebted to your creditor forever. And that's what's dragging countries like Nigeria back. So I can yield the floor for now, so that maybe Monica can add to. But I'm not sure she heard your intro though.
Yeah, Monica, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you. So I'll basically give a background in terms of what the World Economic Forum stands for, just to let people know, at least give them a perspective. So if you want to just go on.
Why don't you read it one more time? I'm sure our guests won't mind hearing it one more time.
Okay, I'll do it again.
Yeah, please.
Okay. The World Economic Forum is an independent international non-governmental organization and a think tank headquartered in Switzerland, focused on fostering public-private cooperation to address global challenges. It convenes leaders from governments, businesses, civil societies, and other sectors through events like its annual meeting in Davos, which just happened we just finished on Friday, to discuss issues such as economic growth, inequality, technology, and sustainability. It was founded in 1971 as the European Management Forum, but it rebranded in 1987 to reflect its expanding scope and now positions itself as a platform for improving the state of the world by enabling dialogue initiatives across borders. The WEF was founded by Klaus Schwab, a German-born engineer and economist who remains its executive chairman. Schwab established it initially to introduce American management practices to European firms, but it evolved into a broader network influenced by his vision, one man's vision of stakeholder capitalism. And I'll leave it there.
Okay.
Monica.
I didn't introduce myself yet, so I just want.
Yeah, please, if you don't mind, we can't see you though, but you can introduce yourself. Yeah, please introduce yourself and then tell us the perspective that you're coming in from. But we can't see you though.
Can you see me?
No, we can't see you.
Can you see me?
But we can hear you.
No.
I don't know
No.
what politics is happening to me here, but they don't want me to be on this podcast.
For the sake of time, it's good that we can hear you. Just keep
Yes,
talking.
just carry on.
Yeah, keep talking.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
Okay. I'm the CEO of an international NGO that was started by a few brothers in the diaspora. So they are now investing their money in projects in Africa, and I'm the COO of that organization. So I'm coming in on the angle of civil society and what the Davos gathering actually meant for Africa or didn't mean for Africa in the end. And what is very important for me to highlight here is that civil society, most of the time, they're quiet on this because they are dependent on the funding that comes from the same colonizers that we are trying to fight and the mindset that we are trying to get away from. So I understand that they cannot speak out, but I can, because my money or my funding are coming from the brothers in the diaspora that's working for their money, and they're investing it back here to make sure that we do projects differently and we do projects that is impactful for the continent. And my take on the WEF and the Davos gathering is that it's really a waste of time for Africa to even attend. We need to start finding solutions for our African problems on our own continent. Because we cannot expect somebody else to come and run our home, because they will come with their own rules and their own regulations. So that is my take. And as a Pan-Africanist and as a social impact catalyst, I stand for everything that is African-driven, African-made, and everything that is African solution-driven, because I cannot understand why we still rely on the USA and Europe. We can see what they're doing. You know, for them to have even allowed Donald Trump to have a stage and to have an audience and to come and launch something that we know is not real, that was not right. He was supposed to be not even allowed at that gathering with what he is doing to people in the world. If you look at all the sanctions, not sanctions, all the countries in Africa that he has got all these visa restrictions and stuff on, he should not be there. But they still allowed him, and that is a clear message that he is still in charge. And we should not even, as the African collective, we should have left when we saw him there. That is my take on it. Maybe it's harsh, but that is just my take on it.
It's not harsh, Monica. It's basically a reality, and basically we say as it is here. So that's basically why we're here.
Yeah.
So
yeah. So
okay, you're going to come back.
If I may just add to what Monica has just said, I mean, she's very, very spot on. You know, I'm of the same views. You know, how we move from here is the big question, because on observation, you know, and going back to this mindset issue, we have a huge task on our hands, okay? Because there are so many people who continue to push this, to use the popular word, narrative of production in order to produce for the West so that you can get foreign exchange. So I always ask my friends who keep on pushing production, what if one night the people you're pushing production for just say, you know what, we don't want your production anymore. We don't want what you're producing. What happens? You all go bankrupt. And that's what's just happened. That is exactly what just happened. I mean, I remember many years ago, I'd never heard of AGOA before. It was my mother that you know, just we were having a conversation. I called her. We started this conversation, and she was telling me, "Oh, have you heard about AGOA?" You know, so I went to research it. This was mid noughties, so maybe it was circa 2005. So I went to look at it, and I said, okay, so Nigerians and Africans can produce stuff for the US market, and you can sell into the US market at a discount. Okay, so what if they don't want your products? What happens? I mean, when our forefathers, the likes of Obafemi Awolowo and Nnamdi Azikiwe and Amadu Bello, when they were running Nigeria as regions, yeah, everybody produced for the regions, right? And they sold the surpluses, yeah, into the global economy. But now we're trying to produce for the global economy before you've even started thinking about your local economy. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense, you know. And when I sit down and look at the people at the helm of the affairs of Africa, it becomes very, very exhausting, because you know, no matter what you say, no matter how much you try and push these ideas forward, nobody wants to listen, because it is what Western economics tells them that they're ready to listen to. It is what Adam Smith's economics, like I always like to say, tells them is what they want to do, without realizing that Adam Smith's economics is not designed for Africa. Adam Smith, once again, I would say, wrote his thesis when colonization and slavery was the order of the day.
I don't know what's wrong with my connection.
I think Monica's
Go on, Babajide.
Yeah, you know, so I think we need to Africans need to have or take an inward look at themselves first before they now start to look at their economies and how they can start to create those sectors and areas within the economy that can bring people in. So, you know, I think our presidents need to understand that they need to create wealth locally first. Okay? Once you create that wealth, then that will propagate into the global space. We can't rely on the global space before thinking about the local space. No, it's not going to work. And the evidence is there. There's, you know, on the Data Economist YouTube portal, I've curated World Economic Forum, a playlist of previous World Economic Forum meetings. There was one that happened in 2014. Dangote was there, President Goodluck Jonathan was there, and John Mahatma of Ghana was there. I think that was during his first term. Now, fast forward to 2026. All the things they discussed in 2014 have not even happened in 2026. None of it has happened. I.e., we haven't made, now Africa has not made any progress between 2014, so Davos 2014, and 2026. That is data. Anybody can come and tell me whatever they want to tell me. I don't care. That's the data I go by. I look at the before and I look at the present. What has happened in between? Absolutely nothing. If you draw the trajectory of Nigeria, I mean, people say it all the time. I'm not in favor of I don't play party politics. But President Jonathan, right, had the best economy. He's in the last 12 years, he's had the best economy so far. And Tinubu has the worst. So if you draw the trend line from 2014 to now, it's a downward trend line.
But in the, you're saying that you were saying that Jonathan's economy was the best and Tinubu is the worst.
Yes.
But in saying that, it doesn't mean it was good anyway, because majority of people still suffered in these economies.
Yes.
So that basically is we're basically comparing two sides of a bad coin.
Of a bad coin, yes.
Okay, yes. Carry on.
So, all I'm trying to say is that since 1971, because we're talking about the World Economic Forum, since 1971, aside from, so between 1971 and 1999, obviously we had military rule in Nigeria, right? If you want to look at Nigeria as an economy, right? Now, in that time, Nigeria's economy, I'll say between 1971 and 1985, Nigeria's economy, held sway when you compared it with the global economy. But since 1986, the Nigerian economy has come under attack. Why? Because they realized, the global economies realized upon Nigeria's independence that Nigeria was going to become the Pax Africana or Pax Nigeriana. So and what's that? Pax Nigeriana is like saying, Nigeria was going to become the greatest economy of the Black world, not of Africa, of the Black world. And if Nigeria can wake up to that level, there's going to be a risk to the powers that be. So the plan was then to say, no, we're not. I mean, obviously, these things are not put into the public space. But a very renowned professor, somebody I respect, a lot, in 2005, delivered a lecture which I've written about in the last few weeks. Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, did a lecture in 2005 about Nigeria's role, in the Black world. Okay. And obviously, over the years, we've lost that. And because Nigeria has lost that, Africa lost direction. And you can see it. Even, I mean, I'm not saying the AES countries, so Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, are lesser countries than Nigeria. But look at what has happened in the last few years with AES and ECOWAS. They've told ECOWAS where to go. That shouldn't be happening. Nigeria has lost respect. So the bottom line here is, like Monica has said, the World Economic Forum is not for us. Nigeria had a pavilion there, which apparently they paid $1 million for the week. Yeah. The reporter that reported it said, oh, well, wow, it wasn't the Nigerian government that paid that amount. It was private. All the same, if you count the number of countries that came, then that means there were 64 countries there. I think there were about 64 countries that are in attendance or more. I think there were more than that. So if you multiply that by the number of countries that attended, that's a lot of money, And if 54 African countries would have attended, that's $54 million for 1 week. Why? Why would you want to spend that when there's still a lot of work to do back home in Africa? So, just like I said, I'll agree with Monica. It should be an Africa first approach, but our leaders need to start to learn that we need to focus on home. We need to focus on local growth first, and whatever surpluses that we create will then go into the public space. That is not to say that, we won't get foreign direct investment, into the country. If people want to invest in the country, remittances from diasporans, that's fine. But we should not be using remittances or foreign direct investment as the main source of funds to grow the economy. No, if you do that, you're killing your economy because of the exchange rate. The exchange rate is the target. Mm-hmm. Most African countries, this is okay. So let's
not just the exchange rate. Right now, it's being taxed by the United States. So if
yes,
you're in the United States, every time you send money, you're being taxed.
The remittances. Mm-hmm. Yes, mm-hmm. It's being taxed. Then most African economies are designed as though they're the 51st state of the US. Do you realize that? Okay, so you notice, I'll use Nigeria as the example because it's Nigeria that I tend to follow right now. So you find that majority of the business segments of Nigerian news channels are always waiting for the Fed Reserve's announcement on interest rates, CPI, all the indicators from the US. I sit down there and I'm almost like punching the screen that what has your economy got to do with that? But yeah, they'll tell you, oh yeah, because we look for foreign direct investment in dollars, we've got to keep track of what's happening in the US. No, you don't. You don't. Because if you look at the Nigerian economy, 3% formal sector, 97% informal. Within that 3%, you have the foreign direct investors and people who invest in the stock market. Everybody else don't care about the dollar, or they shouldn't care about the dollar, other than the fact that when the dollar rate changes, it impacts on their purchases, which indirectly then impacts on inflation. So what am I saying? And this is the tagline that everybody needs to start working around with. Nigeria is not an interest rate economy. We're not a 51st state of the US. We're an exchange rate economy because it is the exchange rate that drives the inflation, not the interest rates. I mean, there's a statistic that says only, I can't even remember that statistic now, that says there's a particular number of people that don't even have up to 500,000 naira in their bank accounts.
But explain to people what 500,000, because it sounds like a big number.
So 500,000 naira
compared to the dollar.
So 500,000 naira, not dollars now. 500,000 naira. Let's see how much that is in today's exchange rate. So you get an idea. Divided by
2,000.
150.
Look
So
at
25
Babajide
pounds. It's
doing the math.
25 pounds.
25, so which is probably less than $20.
No.
No, it's more than that.
It's $333.
Okay.
Oh, so it's 200.
500,000.
Yes, 500,000 naira.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's 250 pounds.
The number, I'll try.
So most people don't have about $350 in their account.
Most bank accounts in Nigeria don't have more than 500,000 naira. So $333 in their account. Majority. So what does that tell you? What impact is the interest rate that is at 15% or so in Nigeria? What's that going to do to the average Nigerian? Absolutely nothing. Or you change the exchange rates tomorrow, if the exchange rate goes from 1,500 to 2,000 naira, you see the impact in the market straight away. So Nigeria is an interest rate economy.
And for those of you
an exchange rate economy. Sorry.
Yeah, for those of you, because Babajide is speaking in data language, right? But for those of you who want that simplified, so for example, and Babajide, you can take over if I'm losing track. So if that rate goes from 500,000 to being 300 to 500,000 being 3 million, Nigerians are doing good. It's just a rough number.
I see what you're saying.
The more the naira, the more the amount of dollar that a naira represents, the better it is for the Nigerian.
So okay, let me put it this way. So the exchange rate of the naira at the moment is $1 to about 1,478 naira. So let's just round that up to 1,500, right? For simplicity. Now, in my analysis, I know a lot of people maybe watching this would think, oh, what's he talking about? What does he know? I don't care what anybody says. I go with my data, okay? The Nigerian exchange rate shouldn't be anywhere close to 1,500. Okay, if I had my way, it should be close to, let's say, $100. I'm sorry, 100 naira.
Exactly.
So $1 at least. I'm saying worst case scenario or best case scenario, not worst. Best case scenario for me should be $1 to 100 naira.
And guess what my best case scenario is?
Yes, it's 1 to 1.
Nope. It's 1 to negative.
1 to negative.
Like the dollar means shit to Africans. That's where my analysis is. But quickly, so that we don't get lost in the numbers and in Nigeria, right? Since the conversation is Davos, so that we don't focus too much on Nigeria.
Yes.
Going back to Davos, the 5 and sorry, you can come back later to Nigeria, right? And those numbers because they're important and they're connected.
Remember, I'm using Nigeria as the baseline because what's happening in Nigeria is very representative of what's happening in Africa.
Yep.
Yeah. Also, let's focus on Africa then. Yeah.
So I'm just using Nigeria as the baseline because that's the country I follow.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. So that anyone who thinks we're just talking about Nigeria, it's connected. Nigeria is just an example that's being used because Babajide has collected more data on it. So in the Davos 2026, there were 5 key pillars that they were focused on.
Yes.
They chose. They did not call any African and say, yo, what do you think we should, do you have any suggestions as to what pillars we should form? No, this man, Klaus Schwab, and whoever else he gives the pleasure of sitting with him to decided that these were the key pillars that they were going to discuss at Davos 2026. So cooperating in a more contested world, number 1. First of all, when you think from a white man's perspective, cooperating in a more contested world, who's contesting for the world? And what world are they contesting for? Is the question you as an African need to ask yourself. Number 2, unlocking new sources of growth. Oh, wait, their sources of growth have been Africa. What are they talking about unlocking new sources of growth? Better investing in people was number 3. Huh? Do they really care about us? So what does that mean, investing in people? What are they going to be doing? Number 4, deploying innovation at scale and responsibility. Responsibly. Interesting. Number 5, building prosperity within planetary boundaries. So I, who is encountering that term for the first time, planetary boundaries, went to Sheikh Google and said, what is planetary boundaries? And Sheikh Google came back and told me planetary boundaries define a scientific, safe operating space for humanity, identifying 9 critical Earth system processes, including climate change, biodiversity loss, and nutrient cycles that must be maintained to prevent catastrophic environmental instability. That means they're concerned about our food production, they're concerned about how the ecosystem is operating. That's what they're claiming, and they're concerned about our climate. But evidence has shown us that they're not concerned about that at all. My theory, just as all of yours is that Klaus Schwab is a clown. The name is evident and it shows us Klaus Schwab is a clown who decided to create a circus to derail us from what's actually happening in the world. So that every year, we Africans are talking about, oh, we're going to do something special. We're going to spend so much money and go to Davos. Oh, we're in Switzerland. We're sitting with a white man. They're telling us this is what we're going to do. Instead of sitting and focusing on what we need to do as Africans, this is always a distraction every year. Davos is. And so this man strategically knows that we're going to be distracted talking about Davos and the bullshit that they bring up there doesn't really help us because 1971, it was formed.
Yes.
And there's been no progress in Africa. None.
No.
None.
No.
Of all the agendas they've had, you can go look at their agendas and look at them and see, oh, has this happened? No, none. So we are the dummies who keep showing up at Davos. It's not even, you know how they say, first time fool me, second time third time I'm the one. No, it's been since 1971 every year we go to Davos.
Yeah.
To listen to the lies and the bullshit and then become zombies, as Fela asked us, throughout the year and then return to Davos for some more lies and bullshit.
Yeah.
So my focus, because I know you were talking about the leaders, is not necessarily the leaders.
Yeah.
My focus is what today can we teach Africans so that we Africans can take ourselves from this circus. So we can take ourselves from the audience of this circus.
Okay, so let me tell you why as an individual or as individual Africans, our hands are somewhat tied, which is why I mentioned the leaders. And I'll tell you why our hands are tied. You see, our leaders at the moment don't understand what global finance is. They don't understand what global finance is. They only understand what is in textbooks. But global finance is beyond textbooks. Trust me, it's beyond textbooks. Okay? Now, I'll give you an example. BlackRock is the largest hedge fund company on the planet.
BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, those three.
All those, the State Street.
BlackRock
Those
controls everything. You pay
Everything.
taxes, it's going to BlackRock, wherever you are.
BlackRock,
Controls
State Street,
everything.
Vanguard. If you've heard it for the first time, go Google it. BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard.
Yeah, all of them. But I want to single out BlackRock just for this particular example that I want to give. So the guys at BlackRock, right? They'll be the best cream of the crop analysts, mathematicians, hedge fund managers doing their thing behind the scenes. Do you think they're going to come and tell you, how they're able to deliver dividends for their customers every year? They're not going to tell you that. They'll tell you, they have some special algorithms that they use to, apportion their investments, etc., so that it delivers XYZ profit year on year. Okay? But in what I've seen we Africans do, we still think we're playing on a level playing field. So you go out there, you make announcements, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, telling everybody what you're going to do. And the guys behind the scenes will just do their magic behind the scenes. And everything you try to do is not going to work. Because finance is war. It's not something you discuss in public. You go away with your economics team, you do your, like they say in Nigeria, you do your workings behind the scenes and you deploy. So until our leadership understands global finance, then they start to call people like us into the fray to say, okay, how do we take our economies, 54 economies forward without having to rely on global finance the way it's set up? Only then would we begin to move forward. And I think that is the one thing global finance is afraid of. It's almost like, when somebody is pulling a wool over your eyes and is hoping you don't find out what he's doing. It's like, that's exactly where we are right now. Because the moment African leaders find out, really, is this how Western economies have gotten to this point? Is this how European economies have gotten to this point? Okay, yeah, we're going to do the same as well. Then, Europe and the rest of the world is going to be like, wow, what do we do from here on? So we need to wake up and start to design our local financial models to deliver in our local currencies, to deliver dividends to the public in our local currencies. Then when we go out for foreign direct investment, we're getting that foreign direct investment for not to convert, not to build in our local currencies, but say, obviously, we don't produce things like tractors.
Even Babajide, the direct foreign direct investment for me, I think is just a waste of time. I know we keep saying that, but when it says foreign, the word foreign itself is basically says what it is. Oh, yeah, so they come in, bro. They come in and they extract. I put a post out.
Yes.
65% of the corruption in Africa.
Yes.
It's through direct investments, foreign investments.
So
what's the point of having them there when they are the catalyst of the corruption that's facing Africa today?
You're very, very correct. Because if you go and do a Wikipedia on what foreign direct investment is, it tells you it's extraction.
It's foreign. Yeah, it is. So why are we looking at something that's doing damage to us? Okay, this is basically where we need to decolonize our solutions as well, bro.
Yes. Oh, of course. We need to decolonize the solution. Right, and I think Monica has touched on that, and I think we would allow Monica to come in and share in this view as well. Now we need to use where we can those remittances to do the right things. And what do I mean by that? You do not bring in dollars and use it to build in your local currency, for instance. Because if you do that, a few months or years down the line, when it comes time to pay back and the currency has moved, you're paying back more.
Yeah, but that's what we've been doing.
That's what we've been doing. That's why we can't move forward, because you're always in that debt trap, which is why you need to manage that foreign currency element of your borrowings or your remittances properly. Then use your local currencies to drive the economy. Nobody's doing that across Africa.
Okay, let's bring Monica back in, bro.
Yeah.
Monica.
Okay, can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear. Okay, the floor is yours.
I don't know what is happening in South Africa today, but they don't want me to be here. But I'm going to try again.
Yeah.
I just want to share something with you guys. You know, Samda Incorporated is actually called Saklipia Ma Development Association. And this is a few guys from Liberia that started this organization, and they wanted to develop something at home, you know, in Liberia. So what happened in the interim, when I came on board, I gave them a global vision. I said, guys, let us do this and try the other countries. And currently we are in over 24 countries. So what we have is a model where we have an organization run locally by the people, for the people. And the business model is a self-reliance model. So we are basically assisting to the point where we'll get the registration done for you. We don't give you money to go and do something nilly-willy. We buy a machine. We help you to set up, like for instance, an example. In South Africa, I started a community laundry. I bought a washing machine, a dryer, and a few ironing boards. And we started a community laundry. The organization, from that perspective, is funding itself. It is funded by the people, for the people. And the funding scheme is, the feeding scheme is running off that same laundry. So there is no money coming in from somebody from the outside that can have a say in how it should be run. And that is at a small scale. But I firmly believe that model and the old model of how we used to handle money, Ubuntu economics, comes into play here. That we need to start imagining, if we take that communal savings models of our ancestors and we integrate it into a program like the AFCFTA, and we into the investment protocol that they've got, where we are backing our own infrastructure projects with our own money. That is something that is something tangible. It's something that can be done. We are doing it at a small scale in our organization. It's not big, but I firmly believe going forward, this can be something that can happen. But we as Africans, we are so scared. We are scared of failing, and we are scared to take that risk. And we are scared to be called failing. Some people call us monkeys. I told somebody the other day, this is a damn intelligent, good-looking monkey that you are talking. So deal with. So that is what I'm saying. We need to start looking for solutions on the continent, for the continent, and it must be done by African, for African. And civil society, organizations like what I'm involved with, we should speak out more. We should be the accountability loop for these nations, because money are received, but money are not spent on what it's supposed to be used for. And nobody is taking accountability for anything. That is just my take on things. I believe that we have what it takes to run this continent to be the best thing that the cat dragged in. We in charge, but we don't want to take charge. And we need to clean our house before we get colonized again. That's a fact. We need to clean house.
Yeah. I think just to add to what you just said now, that risk of recolonization is very, very real right now.
It's bro, guys, we are in the neocolonial state. So basically, the tentacles are there.
Yeah,
the carbon credit, everything's in place.
Everything's in place.
Everything's in place.
Yeah.
So we are there.
It's funny that you all say that, because that essentially is what Davos was.
Yes.
Like, the reason I call it a circus, we were there not realizing that we're going to be the elephant that is being whipped. That is who we are. We think we are the audience, but we are actually the elephant that is being whipped, that is not being fed, that is not being cared for, that is keeping the circus alive. Yet
we are the menu and the dinner on the table.
Exactly.
Yes. Turkey's voting for Christmas, like I said. You mentioned, the theme of Davos. I sort of did a snapshot of it as well. Climate change, economic policy, technological innovation, trade and investment, geopolitics, global health, and pandemic preparedness. Now, just hold that thought for a second. I'll go back to one of the panel meetings that was held at Davos. I think it was on Thursday or Friday. The only person on that panel, so this was the panel of institutional leaders, okay? Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, World Trade Organization
WTO chairman,
chairman, was on that panel.
Yeah,
I felt for her. You know why? Because she was being.
I don't feel sorry for her. She's a gatekeeper. I don't feel sorry.
Listen, I agree with you. I don't dispute that. But hear me out. In that gatekeeping role, she was being spoken over.
Wow.
That is typically what happens to the black woman in white spaces. Christine
Lagarde was there. The what's her name now? The EU leader, I've forgotten her name. She was there, and they were talking. I mean, she did make her point, but the points that she's putting forward, right, are so difficult, or the points she was putting forward are going to be so difficult to implement, with the current status quo, especially, as I said earlier, with the way the African leadership is arranged, or the current makeup of the African leadership, the thinking, the mindset, and all. It's not going to work. The WTO is set up for the global north. It's not set up for everybody else. And she doesn't seem to realize that. Yes, she's putting these points forward.
And this is basically why I don't feel sorry for these gatekeepers, because they're gatekeeping institutions that's not going to work for Africa, but they go into it with their eyes open and being stupid.
They want to be leaders of these institutions. It's like people who graduate from, young folks who graduate from universities and they want to work for Goldman Sachs.
They aspire to get,
well, instead of creating our own. Where are our companies? Like I said, in Davos,
let's bring Monica in.
Yeah. In Davos, we didn't have any representation. Over 97% of the companies, big companies that mattered, were all from the global north, the Googles and co, Amazon and co.
Monica, where do we go from here? Because we talk a lot, and our people don't seem to get it. And it's frustrating when you sit on these kind of panels and you listen to what we're saying. And for some reason, we Africans, it doesn't get through us thick skulls that we need to change. We need to change trajectory. We need to change basically the focus. Where do we go from here? Because we are so miseducated that we don't even know that we're miseducated.
I have this way of living. I've made now a point that I'm also now going to change my wardrobe only to African attire.
Absolutely.
I'm the leader of the pack, and I told all my country leaders, I said, guys, from now onwards, this is what I am going to do for 2026. I also am on a very organic way of living at the moment. So that is a start, because I am not going to be made sick by the food that they are producing for us. So that is a start. Also, in terms of the self-reliance model that we have in the organization, that is a start. Community laundries, community bakeries, community whatever. And the type of events that we are doing is we have business pitches that we give to students to come and pitch their business ideas. We have, I was in Brazzaville over the Christmas time, and we had a talent competition. I think some of you must have seen the videos online where these ladies that won the competition, they were so grateful. I'm now helping them to get their passports so that they can come and do studio time in South Africa. That is a start. We cannot wait for big things to happen, people.
Yeah.
We need to do the things that's small, that's tangible, that's visible, that's doable, and people can see it. Remember this one thing: the guy that run the best church in Africa is the one that can do miracles. Do you remember that? The one that can do miracles are the one where everybody flock to. So now I am the miracle maker. I am making miracles in a small way. And that is how we are going to change mindset. We cannot wait for them. They're not going to change overnight. They have to see the miracle to follow the miracle. And it's all up to us as leaders to do the small miracles for them to see. You know, in South Africa, let me tell you something. In South Africa, there's some people that think that we are a country on our own. We're not on the African continent. They see themselves as elite, that they are South African, not knowing that we are linked to all the other countries around the continent. We call people from Zimbabwe foreign nationals. How is that possible? We're supposed to call them brothers and sisters. So what I'm saying is, for us to get them to the point where they can actually see what's happening, we need to do the work. We need to do the work.
Yeah.
We cannot expect them to change if we are not making the difference ourselves. And that is just how I operate myself. I'm like I say, I'm going to send you guys pictures of my attires. I might not have the look, but I am definitely changing my way.
What do you mean you don't have the
Don't
look?
say you're a queen, man. Don't say that.
You
Don't
know we're
ever
not going
say
to allow
that.
you to do that to yourself.
No, don't do that, please.
No.
I don't mean I don't have the look. I might not be able to do
Yeah,
the,
of course.
No, you are beautiful. The Africa will look beautiful on you, and you will be in your being, in your full
Yeah.
Yeah,
being,
yeah.
100%.
Your husband washes the floor you walk on, man. I spoke to him before.
But we have to start doing it ourselves. We cannot
Yes.
wait for people to do it, because it is forums like this, it's platforms like this, it's communities like this that will open people's minds.
Yeah.
That is it. And we just need to never stop. I always speak Africa. I am even taking French lessons as we speak. I can say bonjour, I can say merci. I'm trying so that I can go into the continent and do more work. So I think the answer is very clear. We cannot wait for anyone.
Yeah.
We have to do it in our own way, and we have to start now.
Yeah. I think I agree. I agree with Monica.
Hold on,
Sorry,
Babajide.
yeah.
Hold on real quick. If you allow me, Oladile, I'm going to read something. So
Okay,
it will
go on.
take at most 5 minutes, but I think this will take the conversation to a good place. Even Monica, you can come back again. Because sometimes it's not good to put the burden of what the solution is on an individual, right? So let's look at this, what I came up with, or what was given to me in a prompt, and then we discuss, right?
Yeah.
We discuss, if you don't mind. So what are the solutions? And my prompt, for those of you who are interested, and to be very honest, this is something I'm holding myself accountable on, because realizing that every time I do an AI prompt, it is causing environmental damage. So we need to figure out if we're going to go back to the libraries and actually do the research ourselves instead of doing AI prompts. That's another thing we need to talk about. How do we stop destroying our environment and go back? Again, it's going to be the hard way of doing things, but it's better than destroying our environment. But while we are using this system that is destroying our environment, we better get the answers that are going to help us rebuild our environment. And this is what we're doing here. So this is my prompt, given all this information presented, because I did several prompts asking about the World Economic Forum, WEF, about Klaus himself, about Afroxim Bank, all of that. Afroxim Bank. And we'll talk about Afroxim Bank in a bit.
Yes.
And then, so I say, given all this information presented, how should Africa and Africans move forward in an African-centered way that promotes the well-being of Africa and Africans? So this is the result. This is the right question to ask. It cannot be answered with slogans, donor frameworks, or imported best practices, right? I need you all to sit with that, Africans.
Yes.
This is the right question to ask, and it cannot be answered with slogans, donor frameworks, or imported best practices. An African-centered path forward has to begin with clarity about power, history, and purpose. What follows is not idealism, it is strategic realism grounded in African values, memory, and material conditions. All right? So the first principle, reclaim the right to define development. Africa must stop outsourcing its future to external definitions of progress. Most harm begins here. GDP growth without social well-being, stability without sovereignty, investment without ownership, inclusion without power. Africa-centered redefinition of development is the capacity of African societies to reproduce life with dignity across generations. That's development. This includes food sovereignty, cultural continuity, ecological balance, technological competence, collective security, intergenerational justice. If a policy improves investor confidence but worsens African life, it is not development.
Absolutely.
This is Ubuntu at the level of political economy. Number two, mental liberation is not optional. It says in brackets, Fanon was right. Before institutions change, orientation must change.
Absolutely.
Africa has been trained to fear currency depreciation more than hunger. Fear capital flight more than youth unemployment. Fear disapproval more than dependency. What must shift? From external validation to internal legitimacy. From what will markets think to what do our people need. From elite, from elite global belonging to mass rootedness. This requires decolonized economics education.
Absolutely.
African political theory taught seriously. Reclaiming thinkers like Walter Rodney, Kwame Nkrumah, Amilcar Cabral, Thomas Sankara, not as symbols, but as strategic guides. What did they do? What can we implement? What did they do that harmed us? Let's not do that. That's what strategic guides is. No economic sovereignty is possible without epistemic sovereignty. Number three, regionalism over fragmentation. In brackets, Pan-Africanism as strategy, not romance. Africa's greatest weakness is balkanization. 54 small markets, 54 currencies, many externally anchored, 54 competing elites negotiating separately with empires. This is not accidental. It is inherited.
It's intentional.
What African-centered movement forward requires is regional economic blocks with real power, not paper treaties. Trade in local and regional currencies, shared industrial planning, coordinating capital controls, collective bargaining with external powers. The African AFCFTA, that's the
free trade area
agreement, only matters if it prioritizes African producers, not
Yep.
multinationals. Currently,
Yeah.
it's prioritizing multinationals.
Yes.
Yeah.
It builds regional value chains. Currently, it's building external value
Yep.
chains.
Yep.
Yep.
It
Extraction.
reduces dependency on extra-African trade.
Yeah.
That means extraction from
Yeah.
Africa,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Pan-Africanism is not a cultural project, it is a survival strategy. Number 4, we're almost at the end. Control the fundamentals of life first. And this one I have always said. Control the fundamentals of life first. Africa must reorder its priorities away from global approval and toward life systems. Absolute non-negotiables. Number 1, food sovereignty. End reliance on imported staples. Support small farmers with state backing. Protect land from speculative grabs. Local seed systems, not corporate dependency. A continent that cannot feed itself cannot be free.
Nope.
Number 2 of non-negotiables. Energy sovereignty. Use African energy for Africans first. Reject extractive green transition schemes. Develop regional grids and public energy utilities. Africa should not be a battery for Europe while Africans live in darkness.
Correct.
Number 3, non-negotiable, monetary and financial sovereignty. Reduce reliance on the US dollar and the euro. Build regional payment systems. Strengthen African development finance under public accountability. Use capital controls unapologetically. Every wealthy country used them. Every single wealthy country did these things we're being told to do. Africa is punished for even trying.
Yeah.
Number 5 of a non-negotiable, reorient African institutions away from elite capture. So institutions like what we mentioned, Afrexim Bank, central banks, and development agencies can be tools or weapons. It's upon us to decide what they're going to be. The question is not whether they exist, but who they serve.
Yep.
African-centered institutional principles, transparency to the public, not just markets. That's how those institutions should be run. Developmental lending, not extractive finance. Industrial support, not commodity dependence. Accountability to African legislatures and civil society. If an African institution deepens debt dependency, privileges multinationals, undermines labor or land rights, then it is African in name only. And that is what is happening today. These institutions are African only in name.
Yeah.
Number 6, strategic non-alignment in a multipolar world. Again, this one is an important one because we tend to be like, we're swinging from the US to China, Russia, which one are we siding? No. Strategic non-alignment in a multipolar world. Africa should not choose between hegemons. The old mistake is that we aligned with one empire against another.
The other, yeah.
We became a proxy battleground.
Absolutely. I was going to say
We are
that.
trading autonomy for temporary favors. African-centered foreign policy, we deal with it issue by issue engagement. That's how we move forward interacting with these foreigners. Issue by issue engagement. No permanent enemies, no permanent patrons. Collective negotiation, not bilateral weakness. Strategic ambiguity where necessary. Strategic, you will not know what we really intend. You don't have to know. Africa must stop being the terrain on which others resolve their contradiction, which is what is happening today. Number 7, hold on, let me see whether I lied to you all. Yeah, 7 is the last one, and then a conclusion. Number 7, restore the moral center. Ubuntu as political economy.
It has to be.
Ubuntu is not charity. It is relational accountability. An African-centered future means economies organized around care, not extraction. Leadership as service, not accumulation. Wealth circulation, not hoarding. Hold on real quick.
Can you tell them why we're to keep quiet? Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
An African-centered future means economies organized around care, not extraction. Leadership as service, not accumulation. Wealth circulation, not hoarding. Elders, youth, women, and future generations treated as stakeholders. This directly contradicts neoliberal capitalism, and that's the point. A hard truth, but a necessary one. The conclusion. This path will definitely provoke external pressure.
It will.
Trigger capital withdrawal.
Yeah.
Be
It will.
labeled irresponsible.
Absolutely.
Face internal elite resistance.
Absolutely.
Every liberation process does.
Yeah.
As Walter Rodney warned, the
Yep.
greatest threat to African development is the African elite aligned with external interests. So
Absolutely. That's the biggest problem.
moving
Yep.
forward requires political courage, not just good policy.
Yep.
In one sentence, Africa and Africans must move forward by recentering life, sovereignty, and collective well-being over global approval, elite comfort, and extractive growth. Building power together, not asking for permission. I conclude. Let's talk about it.
Yes.
Monica, let Monica go first.
Yes.
Let Monica go first. Monica,
Yep.
you go first.
I'm speechless. I really don't know what to say because I think in what she had to say, I'm already doing some of it. You know, I have taken it upon myself as a leader to lead and others will follow. Because if you don't take responsibility also as an African to respect your other fellow African, you know, I want to make an example for you guys. I traveled and I was stuck in Angola. I couldn't buy anything because I didn't have their money. I got to Kinshasa, to DRC, and then I had to go to Brazzaville. I had to change my money to buy whatever I needed to their currency. And I was just sitting there thinking, as a Pan-Africanist, I was thinking, why can we not have one currency? We are on the same continent. Why can we not have a form of a currency that we can buy whatever we want, wherever we go on the continent? And everybody is saying to me that I am just talking because I was complaining about all the different monies I have to exchange all the time. But it comes back to everything you had to say there, that collectively something needs to happen. Collectively, we need to become responsible. Collectively, we need to start looking at things and collectively do what we are doing here tonight. We need to open the conversation. We need to share. We need to share what we are doing, what we can do, what's possible solutions, because we are 4 people talking here, but there are billions of us out there that do not have even access to this platform where we are on to. So how do we get the message, the same message that we were given now? How do we get that to the masses? How? Because there are so many gatekeepers. Our own governments are gatekeepers. They are
Yep.
keeping the message away from the people. Because when the people awaken, there's going to be chaos. And that is my take on things. I hope I gave you, I know I talk a lot, but I gave you my side of the story.
Monica, you're here to talk.
You're here to talk. Yeah.
And I like your question because here is a suggestion from me. How do we get this message to the masses is what you asked, right?
Yeah.
We shouldn't even think about the leaders, right? We should have them in our mind because they're doing certain things. Like Kenyans are being abducted, being disappeared. I have a brother, I brought on Brian Odhiambo a while back because he had been kidnapped. So now he's nowhere to be found. The Kenyans are having vigils, what are they called? Vigils for him because he cannot be traced. So
Really?
and usually that means the Kenyan authorities have taken your life and dumped you somewhere. That unfortunately is what is happening in Kenya. So, and he has a wife and a child, you know? So this is the threat we face. But as this told us, we should expect this. This is why I get back and forth with people. And people say to me, we don't like your tone and all that. But it is because it is so frustrating to know and to see things clearly. And your brothers and sisters are languishing in nonsense and delusions. It is so frustrating, right? And apparently, me claiming this frustration, I am a narcissist. So you know what? What the fuck? Excuse me, what the hell? I will be a narcissist, but I will be a narcissist who reminds you that you moving from being exploited to being sovereign is going to be painful. It's going to be
It's going to be
painful.
Yeah.
Anyone who expects it to be a smooth ride, I don't know what reality you're facing. If you, I recommended earlier this week, Slavery by Another Name, for the African Americans, for our brothers and sisters from Africa who were enslaved in the United States. Getting to freedom was not easy.
Yeah.
It meant breaking those black codes, being caught, being kidnapped, having to face these people, run away from dogs that are raised to tear you apart.
Right.
That's what they went through. But they knew they could not continue this enslavement thing. They knew that. They knew they had to find their daughters that had been taken by a certain family and they don't even know where to find them. And they gave them a certain name so that when they are free, finally, they can find them. They understood clearly that freedom was not going to be easy, but it must be taken.
Yeah.
Go on, my brother.
So I think if I may just flow from what you've just said there, which was quite deep, and superimpose that onto Africa, it makes the matter even more complex. It makes it even more complex because our African leaders seem to be caught in this moment where they just don't know what.
They have no direction.
They don't know to do the right thing for their people. And when you look at it, when you analyze it, as someone who, like Monica, has many friends who are looking to do the right thing, you're just stuck. Because the leadership doesn't just have a clue. So you're asking yourself, how do you move forward? So I'll give you an example. So if we look at the Nigeria's, I use Nigeria as an example again, but like I said, it will mirror across all of Africa. Okay? The Nigerian budget, right? The recent budget that has been put up is about 54 trillion naira. Okay? I'm going to do the maths on that for you. Yeah? 54 trillion naira is equivalent to that's $36 billion. Right?
No, 54,000 naira.
No, 54 trillion.
Yeah.
54 trillion naira is the country's entire budget for 234 million Nigerians. Now let's divide that budget, right, by the number of Nigerians. Yeah, just bear with me a second. So that's 204. That's $153 per person. So that means
Is this
your
per
budget,
month?
Per year.
Damn, per year?
Yes. $153 per citizen. What can you do with that?
Nothing.
You can't do anything with that. So as it currently stands, Nigeria is broke. So just looking at it from
Nigeria has been broke. Nigerians have been broke for a long time.
For a long time. But what I'm saying to you is that fast forward, okay, this same position we're in today is where I was last year when I was watching Davos. The ministers came on, everybody was excited, they had all their coats on, speaking in the snow, with talking about the backdrops, the whole works. Fast forward to exactly 1 year later. How far forward have we moved?
Never.
You've moved backwards, actually.
That's,
again, the reason for the book Walter Rodney read, the underdevelopment.
Yes, we've moved backwards. And this budget probably would have been maybe slightly better a year or 2 years ago by maybe another $100, maybe $253 or so. But now we're worse off. So what am I saying? What I'm saying is that this thing is so exhausting. It is so exhausting because I ideally shouldn't be doing this. Okay? We should have the professors, the intellectuals, Nigerian intellectuals doing all this. But unfortunately, the Nigerian intellectuals, and if they want, they can put me to task. Yeah,
they're co-opted, bro. You can say it. You can say it. They haven't got a clue.
They don't have a clue what to do.
I can say categorically, and you can hear me and quote me. The Nigerian, the African intellectuals are so dumb as F. I'm sorry, because you basically are the biggest freaking problem facing our continent.
You are using the F word today.
Because it's frustrating, bro. It's actually frustrating when you actually listen and see blatantly what's going on, and you see these guys with their crap.
Yes,
I'm in a group. Sorry, Bajide. I'm in a group and I'm posting stuff there, and somebody said I was divisive.
Yeah,
I'm divisive simply because I'm basically questioning the crap that you think you know.
Yeah. And they're not gonna call the US for their divisiveness. They're not gonna call Western media out for their divisiveness. But quickly to the black person, they will tell you you're divisive.
So let me bust this bubble even further. Now, I've done a lot of work within the National Health Service in the UK. Okay, and it's a lot of interfacing with government data, so hospital metrics. We collate the data, report it to government. Government then goes and says, okay, this is what we're going to do this year. This is what we're going to do to bring down the accident and emergency numbers, cancer data, cancer numbers, breast cancer, etc., etc. Now, do you know what the annual budget of the National Health Service is? Do you have any idea?
I haven't got a clue. No.
Okay, it's about 168 billion annually.
Is that for the UK?
Pounds. Yes. 168 billion annually.
Okay. When
the Nigerian government's budget is what? $36 billion.
Wow. So a country of about 60, 70 million people, and a country of 230 million people.
Yes. So just from that perspective alone, you look at Africa, right? Africa has a GDP, yeah? That's total value of number of goods and services produced annually of about $3 trillion. Right? Now, the NHS, the National Health Service of the United Kingdom's annual budget is, a sizable fraction of what Africa makes annually. I mean, how does that make sense? Which is, what am I trying to get to? I'm trying to get to the point, that Monica was trying to say or that Monica raised earlier about we need to do this ourselves, etc. Yes, we can do it ourselves, but we also need government involvement. But the problem with government involvement is that they don't have a clue what they're doing. If you can present a budget that is $153 per person, per citizen, then where are you going to get the money from to create entrepreneurship or to create entrepreneurs?
Wow.
Look, like I said, the NHS, every large organization in all the gatekeeping organizations in the UK, they wait for the annual NHS budget. You know why? Because they know, we're going to get contracts with the NHS this year. I don't want to name names, but if you Google it, the big people like us don't get contract with the NHS. It's the big companies. The big companies will then hire the contractors and the consultants. Right? Now, in Nigeria or even in Africa, nobody's doing that. So they create a budget. The budget in itself is padded, so it's a crazy budget. So there's no money to say, okay, this is how much we're going. Yes, they'll tell you, this is what out of that budget, this is what's allocated to healthcare. But they're all recurring. There's no capital expenditure. There's no saying, we're going to create new avenues for business or entrepreneurs to create more entrepreneurs in each of these sectors. They tell you, we don't want to overinflate, or because it's 54 trillion, or it was 54 trillion last year, or if we make it 200 trillion this year, or it will be, too large. Obviously, because you haven't been doing the right thing. Because if you're doing the right thing and you justify why your budget is this amount, then going forward, if you need to prepare the correct budget, it won't be a problem. But looking at that, and this is across the continent now. This is not just Africa. None of the governments, right, are creating business opportunities within their budgets. None of them.
Wow.
So if there's anybody thinking, the Nigerian budget is coming out, or the budget of Ghana is coming out, or whatever, I'm in the diaspora, let me go and see if I can get business in those countries. I'll tell you, my brother, my sister, don't bother. Because that budget is not going to reach you. It's not going to reach you because they have not taken into account the creation of new businesses that would fuel the economy.
But even budget day,
and should support the kind of entrepreneurship that Monica Brown is talking about.
But budget day, even with saying that, even with the little there is, guess who they're going to give it to? They give it to the Muzungu.
Yes, now it's going to the Muzungu, so
it goes out because that's part of the deal.
Yeah, it goes back out, then it goes to their cronies. This is not. I'm not saying what is not. They call it constituency projects.
Yeah.
In that budget, you have what they call constituency projects, right? Where each senator will say, okay, I'm going to build or repair the roads or repair the schools or whatever. That's all. There's nothing else. And until you have what I've just described within your budget, you cannot grow your economy. You can't.
Okay.
Quickly, Oladile, just in response to that. And I see someone asked, we have a couple of questions.
You got some few questions.
Yeah. We can go to that. The one by Mike V6046, you can pin that as well. That's a new one. So here's the honest truth. And we say this all the time. But here's the honest truth. For us to have the change that is required, we're going to have to destroy the current neocolonial governments. They have to be dismantled, crushed, taken away. There's no negotiating, there's no teaching them, there's no helping them. It is, for example, I'm running a business and I have a financial manager and this is what he's doing. What these neocolonial governments are doing is my financial manager. I would have fired him years ago, or her. Years ago. They would have no job. So why are we, the people of Africa, keeping these people in their jobs, right? In Burkina Faso, they said, we're done with this. This man that was there before Traore has been selling us out to the French. We're done with this. The people of Burkina. And guess what? They brought in the first coup. They brought in someone else. The people of Burkina said, no, we want Traore. The Burkina Faso people, Traore did not just take over by himself, said, no, not this one. The other one over there is who we want. That's how Traore came in. Wow. Because they understood they needed a new financial manager. And Traore is showing through action and reports every time he talks to his people, to the children, to the youth, he's giving reports of his job. This is what I have achieved, and they're seeing it. So then we like this financial manager. We're keeping him. This is where we need to move to our thinking to.
And I think that's just that's exactly what I was alluding to there. Because if you look at Burkina Faso, he's taking money out of the system and creating tomato factories, creating businesses, building houses. So across Africa, leaders should be saying, okay, you know what? In the property sector, we want 50 companies. Go and create, guys, go and create, real estate, building companies, house building companies, and come and bid for the contract. And there's something, Nduka, I think you alluded to earlier. Now, this is one thing that, I think it's Monica, where we talked about, allowing businesses to fail, the stigma of failure. This is an issue we have in Africa. Okay? Now, until African leaders are ready to take on daring entrepreneurs and making sure that they are allowing them to fail, as in not fail and run away with money, fail with evidence of proper failure. So look at Elon Musk, for instance. Elon Musk is thriving.
Please don't give that example, please. But sorry,
no. I'm not giving it in a positive stance. I'm giving it in just to tell you.
It's important, Oladile, for the people to know their enemies. Yes. Otherwise, he's gonna seem like a good person.
So what I'm saying here is that the U.S. government practically funded all his operations. It's
Yep.
government money. Okay, now if he failed tomorrow, or if he had failed 10, 15 years ago, he's not going to go to jail for it. He's not going to get stigmatized for it. That's my point. So we African leaders need to start to support our local entrepreneurs, for better or for worse. Otherwise, we won't move forward. It's not every entrepreneur that makes a bad business decision that should be sent to the economic and
You failed to basically learn from your failure to move forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we need to imbibe that as part of our culture. You know, if we can get over that, then we can move forward. But like I said, the first things first is to rejig our budget and make funds available for local entrepreneurs, local entrepreneurship, all the local businesses that need to be reworked. You know, the local mechanics, the local steelmongers, the local brick makers for house building, all those people, pump money into them, get government officials to sit down with them, reorganize them. You know, that's what China did.
Local solutions.
China, local solutions.
Yeah.
They're the smartest of the bunch. I'm not saying, oh, China is clean where it comes to Africa. No, I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is that they have looked at the business landscape, they've looked at the global landscape, and guess what? They stealthily, quietly made their moves over the last 30 years. And nobody
That's what Africa should be doing. That's what we should be doing. We're not doing that.
You don't have to publicize what I mean, I'm saying it out loud now, right?
Yeah.
But the ace of what we should be doing is still in my bag. I'm not going to tell you that. If you come to me, yes, we can sit down on terms and discuss how I think Nigeria can become one of the best. In short, Nigeria is the richest country in the world, by the way. One of the richest countries, rather, in the world as it currently stands. The only thing is, it's not doing the right thing. And there are certain things I know we can do in a week. In a week. Because for economy, financial economics thrives on perception. Okay, there are certain announcements that if we ratify my solution, if any of the African government now, not just Nigeria, we ratify the solution overnight, just like Mark Carney woke up one morning and gave that speech. This African country comes up, or all the African countries come up, do this speech the next day, the world is going to sit up.
But we have to move from that way of doing business. We have to move from a point of doing business that is determined by perception, because perception always changes. We have to go back to a different way of doing business.
I understand that. But what I'm saying, why I say perception here is the fact that you don't want to give your cards away, if you know what I mean. That's all I'm saying. So whilst not giving your cards away, you come out, you've laid out your plans, you make the announcement. This is how Africa, from today, this is how we're going to be dealing with the rest of the world. Everybody's going to sit up. All those deals that were signed by DRC with Trump will go into the bin.
What a waste of time.
You'll see what's going to happen, you know, as soon as that comes into play.
Okay, thank you very much, Jide.
Africa needs a new direction.
Okay, we're going to go to the questions now. Monica, I've got a question here for you. Somebody, let me just post it on the screen there. Again, could you ask Monica to explain the philosophy of being a social impact capitalist? Capitalism and Pan-African are often seen as non-compatible.
They're absolutely non-compatible. Go on, Monica.
Who is a social impact capitalist? I'm a social impact catalyst.
Not capitalist, okay.
There's no such thing as a social impact capitalist. None. There's none. Now, go on, Monica.
You know, a social impact catalyst is somebody that is, we a starter. We start the fire. You know, if you know what a catalyst is, we will go into spaces and places and do something that nobody else has ever done. And what we do is we document what we do, and we duplicate it at a different place as well. And that is what I do. I try something in South Africa, and if it works here, I go to other countries and I try it there, and I adapt it according to the culture, the country, the climate, the people, and we implement the same thing there. That is what a catalyst is. So I'm not a capitalist. I'm sorry. Definitely not.
She's not a capitalist. She is a catalyst. Somebody who
A
sparks the fire. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that answered the question, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that answers the question for that person. Okay. Thanks. The next question is to Babajide. This person is asking what drives foreign exchange rate.
Okay.
I think you've explained that.
Yeah, I think I explained that. So what drives the foreign exchange rate at the moment is it's a very difficult one, because if I look at the Nigerian financial makeup, when the president took his post and made that announcement of removing subsidy and all, and the foreign exchange then jumped from, I think it was from 638 naira to 1,000, almost $2,000, 2,000 naira. That was just a remark that he made that moved the foreign exchange to that point. Then I think in between, he then said, oh, they were going to try and get rid of the foreign exchange arbitrage window, right? Where they would normalize that rate between the parallel market and the bank rate, right? And that impacted the foreign exchange. So in Nigeria at the moment, and I think in Africa, the foreign exchange is determined by the central banks. Exactly. The central banks and their relationship with the dollar globally. Now,
it's absurd.
It's absurd. I don't. Sorry, Nduku, I don't want to forget this trend of thought. Now, but the one thing I observe about Nigeria, which also impacts the foreign exchange rate drastically, is the fact that when we agreed to implement the IMF policies, even though apparently we didn't obtain any loans then, this was in 1986 under General Ibrahim Babangida, we did not obtain any IMF loans, apparently, but we implemented the policies, i.e. we devalued the Naira. Now, that devaluation, when I investigated further, I found out that our balance sheet, Nigeria's balance sheet, only had one currency type on it. And what was that? The dollar. When I checked the UK, Japan, and some other European countries, when I checked their balance sheets, what did they have on it? Multiple currencies.
Mm.
So how can you just base your economy on one currency when all the other major economies are not doing that? So that's the number one error that, and I'll mention his name, Kalu Idika Kalu was the finance minister in 1986. That was one of the biggest errors that he made under Ibrahim Babangida. Meanwhile, his predecessor refused the devaluation. He refused to devalue under Buhari in 1983. They came to him and said, oh, let's devalue the Naira. He says, no, we're not devaluing. When Babangida came in, he was removed. Idika Kalu was put in. World Bank man, he was a World Bank man. And what happened? The currency was devalued. And as far as I'm concerned, not properly devalued. So one of the factors that currently shifts the foreign exchange rate, negatively against Nigeria is the fact that we don't have enough basket of currencies that we leverage the Naira against. Right? Now, if you look at Singapore, for instance, you go to the Monetary Authority of Singapore's website, it's boldly written there. They will not tell you how they manage their foreign exchange. They won't tell you. But one of the key things that stands out is that they measure their currency against a basket of currencies. Okay? And they juggle it over time to make sure that their currency remains where they want it to be. Meanwhile, with Nigeria, we've allowed it. I mean, now when the president came to power, they allowed it to float. That's the worst thing you can do. Allowing your currency to float, because even though they're not floating it, they're not floating it on the global foreign exchange market. So if I wanted to buy the Naira, for instance, in the UK here, I can't do that. Imagine if they did that. Some guys in Wall Street could just say, oh, Tinubu is not a good president. We're going to sell the Naira. And what do you think is going to happen? Yes, that's what's happening. What happened with Iran recently? What the rumor I heard was that there were some people from a certain country that went and bought massive amounts of the Iranian currency. Then what did they do? They dumped it. That crashed the currency.
Bro, economic hit. The economic hit, man, bro. So you know what happened.
Yeah, exactly. I know. So that's what they did, and that's what Nigeria's currency is currently open to.
Okay.
Did you see, Babajide, the comment from our brother Bro Charles? And Bro Charles is an African. He said, make the answer simple, Babajide.
Yes.
This is the simple answer. The currency and exchange rate of Africa determined by the white man's opinion.
That's it. Simple.
Let's
play around. We're playing around with words.
I'm trying to be very diplomatic.
I know yours is
bro, we don't do diplomacy here, bro. We say as it is. Please learn. This is what we do here.
It is their opinion that determines that. Like, yes, you can maneuver, but you know very well they'll wake up, smoke a cigar, drink some whatever whiskey, and they'll be like, we don't like the way Nigeria is moving. Did you see what that dude said? Okay, this is the rate.
Because we don't control stuff.
Yeah, let me just correct what Nduku just said here. It's not about we don't like what Nigeria is doing here. No, it's about taking more value out of your money. Imagine that because when your currency reduces, you're paying more to them.
Yeah.
That's why. It's
like a punishment.
It's
a punishment. Yes, it's a punishment.
Yeah, devalue so they can take our stuff out cheaper.
Yes, cheaper.
And when we pay the loans back, they're taking more of our money to them. So basically, it's a lose-lose situation.
Yes. So your oil becomes cheap. Well, oil is in dollars anyway. So the oil, maybe your gold, and anything that comes out of your country.
And they come up with this freaking paper money that's valueless to take your resources. And you guys, Africans, are clapping your hands.
And I'm glad you mentioned gold, because Africans are out here talking about let's accumulate gold, But as long as your gold, the value of your gold is determined by the foreign entities, it's not valuable. So the goal is detach yourself from the foreign entities, and then you yourself determine the value of your gold.
Yes.
But it doesn't matter how much gold you collect if you're attached to them and they say, we don't think gold is valuable.
I mean, you just do, look, to put it simple, if you want us to be simple, let's put it simply, right? Just do what Gaddafi did. I mean, Gaddafi accumulated gold. Are you understanding me? He was accumulating gold. He had a huge reserve of gold. He had a huge currency reserve. He had his oil. He was doing the right thing. And he was going to cascade that across Africa. Imagine if all African countries did that. That's where we need to be. Burkina Faso. Look at Niger, right? Niger, their uranium. Nobody can just take out the uranium anymore. So the price of that has shot through the roof. France is crying. Most other countries that depend on it are crying.
Good luck to them, but they can cry. They can cry more.
Yeah, that determined that exchange rate as well. So,
bro, let's round this up because of time. Monica, to you, your final thoughts on this. Final thoughts from you, please.
Final thoughts. I'm sitting here and my head's spinning. I've got so many questions that I would, I would like to ask. But I think final thought from me would be from the point of civil society, which I'm a part of. I would say that we need to We need to become the accountability partner and the monitoring partner in Africa in terms of our nations. We need to take a stand that we start asking the hard questions, no matter how hard it is, because what is happening at the moment is like, when I listen to everything, it's like we're in a circle, and every time the same clown get the opportunity to run the circle, and this is time to change. We need to start asking the questions and awaken people by, from a civil society. That is what I personally feel we should do with these governments, because nobody is above the people. We need to give the people the power to make the decision and to know what they are actually voting for. And we can only show that by showing these governments up. I was quite intrigued to hear that somebody from Kenya has been removed. I'm now sitting here thinking, oh my Lord, they must not see me speaking here and come and send somebody to take me out. It's just a joke. But what
But
I'm saying,
that's the challenge you face in doing what we're doing, though. But
Yeah.
we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
exactly. And that is what I say every day when I do this type of work, and every day when I step out of there to call myself an African. Because remember, in some countries, even in South Africa, when you say you are an African, people want to fight you. They say, no, you're not an African, but they don't understand that when you're born on the continent, you're an African. No matter what country you're in, that you're an African. And that's the tough part. You know, identifying as a Pan-Africanist, I face scrutiny on a daily basis. But that's fine, because that's part of the struggle. A luta continua. We have to face the struggle, and we have to continue the struggle. And that's my final thoughts.
Thank you, Monica. About your final thoughts, please, sir.
Okay. Okay. I'll just read something I wrote earlier. Then I have something to add on that foreign exchange bit, but I'll just read what I wrote earlier. So Africa does not lack panels, invitations, speeches. Africa lacks agenda control. Until African economies shift from being discussed at Davos to shaping what Davos discusses, attendance will remain symbolic. The real work of African economic transformation will not happen in the Alps. It will happen in industrial policy, regional value chains, capital retention, and institutional sovereignty. Davos may listen, but Africa must build on its own terms. I think that's my final thought. But at the same time, I think just to add to that foreign exchange element, a lot of African economists think that by building up your foreign reserves, yeah, you can manage your foreign exchange. No, you can't. Okay, so that's just one thing I want to dispel amongst some people who may be listening tonight. Yes, you know, because that's why they say, foreign direct investment or produce for export so that you can make more foreign exchange. It's a myth.
Yeah.
It is a 1000% myth, because you can never generate enough foreign exchange. If that were the case, why has the Singaporean exchange rate, so Singapore, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, their exchange rate has not passed more than 5 of their own currency?
Nope.
Meanwhile, we allowed ours
all
to
fixed.
we just allowed ours to go riot. Okay, so
thank you very much, bro.
Foreign reserves cannot reduce your foreign exchange rate.
Thank you. Unku, final words from you, please.
So for me, as I said before, change requires political courage and social courage, because the path will definitely provoke external pressure. It will definitely trigger capital withdrawal. It will definitely be labeled as irresponsible, and it will face internal elite resistance. So are we ready to do the work? Or do we want to just keep talking and keep doing small gestures like, oh, let's start this community here and we're going to do this, not realizing that that community could be blown into smithereens if we're not actually doing the work that must be done. This solution for Africa, yes, let's start those small communities. Myself or Ladile are going to be doing that, but let's not be fooled that that is the solution. Because as long as the snake is laying around, the snake of imperialism, we are doomed. So the work right now is for us to unite, African people to unite, is for us to start strategically working together, and then for us to pull our big girl panties or pants and do the hard work, because it's going to take hard work. None of us should be expecting comfort. I don't know, like even taking a regular test at school, for those of you who are in school or back to school, is tedious. It is not a pleasant experience, but you know you're taking it so that you can get a degree. So I don't know why anyone has ever been fooled that liberation will be an easy experience. So that's my conclusion. We're going to need political and social courage.
Thank you. Okay, final thoughts from me. Africans, we've been down this path for a long, long time. With Africa, the oldest independent country is about 65, 67 years, something thereabouts. And we've been following the neo-colonial principles, policies, structures for a long time. And Africans are impoverished. Africa was never underdeveloped. Africa was underdeveloped by the Europeans to get us to where we are today. So, what am I saying in a nutshell? What's kept us down can never lift us up. But for some warped reason and in our miseducated mindsets, we Africans seem to just dig in to the miseducation that got us to where we are, thinking that it's going to get us out. You're educated to think like a Mzungu, to think like a coconut. That's why you have a colonial curriculum in your continent till date that has not been changed. So we Africans basically need to go back to basics. We need to look at what worked for us, and let's build something that's Afrocentric from the foundation upwards, that's going to uplift the majority of us and not just the individualistic, greed-driven people. Because Africa has to be work for everybody, not for a minority few. If you're thinking about yourself and you're not thinking about your collective, then you're enemy within. It's time for Africans to actually start looking at ourselves as brothers and sisters and never hurt ourselves for us to get to the top. Enough is enough, guys. We do these podcasts just to trigger your minds, to make you think we can do this. We can do this. But the only way we can do this if we can decolonize our minds, do the work, and make things happen. Otherwise, we're going to be talking and talking. We're going to stay where we are, and nothing's going to change. And the Oyibo, Mzungu, the Indians, the Iranians, whoever, they're not going to help. They're not there to help you. You have to help yourself. Everybody comes to us because of what they're going to get from you, not because they want to help you. You need to look at the enemies for who they are. You can say they're your friends, but they're not your friends. But they're only there just to take from you, extract from you, and then basically piss in your head at the end of the day. Excuse my language. Anyway, thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm sure we'll do this again sometime.
Oh yeah, we're gonna be back. We're gonna, in a couple of weeks' time, we'll be back again for another topic, another guest. Yeah, but definitely, just look out. We're gonna be creating more series, thought-provoking topics. The purpose of this platform is just for us to think differently, guys. We cannot keep thinking the same way and expect change. It's not going to happen. You know, it's uncomfortable, but it needs to be done.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going to be where you are, and you're going to keep lamenting and praying over spilt milk.
Yeah.
When you should actually roll your sleeves up and actually do the hard graft that you need to do to actually free your kids from this mental slavery.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Okay.
Take care.